Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for taking time out of hopefully your spectacular Sunday to join us here on Warchant TV to discuss the breaking news from Sunday afternoon sent down by the Florida State University Administrative Department that they do intend on keeping Mike Norvell as the head football coach at Florida State University in 2026. Lots of questions swirling around the future of Mike Norvell after he dropped his fourth consecutive game. This one in Palo Alto against Stanford. He's followed up with two other losses to now drop the 5-6 with bowl eligibility on the line against a horrendous Florida team. Now, though, the time to let the future course be determined, and that is to keep Mike Norvell. Joined by Corey Clark and Jeff Cameron. We didn't do a coin toss. We don't know which one of these guys would play the Mike Norvell role and want to defer to the second half. But we'll start with Corey, who's in a car. He had to pull off the side of the road. Corey, you were playing the devil's advocate role about, let's see what happens these last few games. You got some sort of runway to diplomatically bring him back and pitch to this program that there is a clear path forward with Mike Norvell. They lose to NC State on the road in pretty embarrassing fashion. And then about 24 hours later, go ahead and say they're going to keep him. Your thoughts?
Surprised, I guess, would be the word. I told you guys that NC State was going to be the barometer, and they hung within 10 of that juggernaut. So at that point, you almost have to keep them. No, I think that we all know the deal, man. You look around, Baylor kept their coach and they're awful. Maryland kept their coach. They're not any good. Wisconsin kept their coach. It seems like maybe these administrations are realizing the buyout. Maybe the buyout is a thing of the past, Jeff, but Florida State is in the middle of it right now, and it is $50 million. I would argue that next year is going to be $40 million. That's not chump change either. And what are you guaranteeing yourself with if you bring him back for next year? Nobody has any faith that this man is going to turn this thing around and fix it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I know Florida State fans most are not very excited about this move. And how could you be? He's given you no reason for optimism in the last 2 years.
Jeff, before I let you go, this part of the statement, we had all the big guys on the email. President Richard McCullough, obviously Mike Norvell, as well as Athletics Director Michael Alford. We'll try to get everybody up on the screen at some point, but McCullough's statement reads, FSU Board of Trustees Chairman Peter Collins, Vice President and Director of Athletics Michael Alford, and I are in complete agreement that changes are needed for our program to improve. Coach Norvell embraces our support in that process and agrees that success must be achieved. He continues to demonstrate an unwavering belief in this program's future, and so do we. This decision reflects a unified commitment to competing in the rapidly evolving landscape of college football while maintaining continuity within the program. That doesn't sound like a very bold alpha statement from our leadership. Your thoughts, Jeff Cameron?
Well, there isn't much in the way of leadership. I would argue you're looking at a group with no plan, no money, no options. It's embarrassing. The fan base almost entirely will refute this and find this to be repugnant. It is going to be a long off season. This will be a very difficult upcoming football season. I agree that it is financially driven. We know that. Certainly it couldn't be based on merit. Mike Norvell is now, and we're still counting, lost 16 games in the last 2 years. They look like clowns at NC State at one point with 3 points going into the fourth quarter against the worst defense in the ACC. Clownish penalties around every turn, ridiculous operational. You don't know where to start. You could go on and on and on, but we've already stated this many times over. They've now clearly made the decision, and it's going to be tough for the Michael Alfords of the world to deal with this fan base who find this to be appalling, and I find it appalling as well.
Let me ask you this though, Jeff and Aslan, because I'm on record. That should have been the last straw at NC State, and there were probably the Stanford game honestly should have been the last straw. Let's just say, speculation purely for argument's sake, they get Daria Mensah from Duke to come to Florida State to be their quarterback. The money they saved to not fire Mike Norvell, they go and get themselves an NFL quarterback to come here. I know you think the fan base is in revolt right now and they're upset, and they are, clearly, and they need to be. That mitigates it a little bit. It just does, right? Like, you can't say that next season's going to be a disaster if you have a first-round NFL quarterback. Now, that's a big if because they're probably not getting them. But if they did, I think that changes the way you view what next year can be and the way you view their allocation of their resources.
I mean, he's going to get finally they're going to land this fabled quarterback that they need ever since they lost Jordan Travis. You talked about on your show, Jeff, that now we're going to have another statement up here. Peter Collins is obviously on the email as well. I left him off, but they're going to go to this model, right? They're going to give him every possible bit of support, right? To finally win football games. It feels punitive to me to let him go, but I think you've deserved this. You should not have the opportunity to try to turn this thing around. Who out there couldn't win at Florida State with an NFL type GM and all these other pieces around you? This just smells to me of they just believe in this guy and they like him so much that they're going to give him every chance to possibly fail before they finally cut the cord on him.
I think you're wrong with the belief. I don't think they believe in him any more than we do. I think we have to. It comes back to the financial resources. They believe in $50 million and what it could buy them, as opposed to just giving it to a man to walk away.
Corey, the one problem, though, with that is, and while it would be great if we knew definitively that with whatever money they're going to save, the $58 million or so that they would save on Norvell, that they would then reinvest that into the roster, to a quarterback, to the overriding depth of a team. But I don't get the sense that that's the way the current athletic director believes NIL should work or does work, and I don't think that that's what they're going to do. Also, I don't know that. Well, I do know. I don't think Mike Norvell should have the right to make the decision on the quarterback. He's failed around every turn at the quarterback position. He's failed to recruit one. He's failed to develop one. He's failed to find one. He's failed with everything he's done in regards to the quarterback. I don't know how fans could feel any sense of confidence moving forward in this administration or this coaching staff. There may be a chance that they change their mind with whatever actions they take moving forward in regards to their attitude towards the investment, the NIL. But as of right now, the athletic director believes that the rules put in place between the rev share and then what you can and can't do with NIL contracts, he believes that is a closely monitored endeavor with strict rules. Nobody's playing by those rules, but he believes they exist.
Well, it's funny, though, Jeff, with that, because with all the Lane Kiffin stuff that came out, and, they said LSU was going to offer him a $90 million deal and a $25 million investment on the roster, that he gets a $25 million investment. Well, that's out there in the open. Yeah. We all know the limit is 20, right? The limit is 20. So if that's out there, I know we can guess what Alford and Collins are going to do moving forward. You simply can't do this, in my opinion. You simply can't do this and then tie your hands to what the roster can be. There's no point in that then. There's just no point. It just doesn't make sense. You can't keep a guy that doesn't deserve to be here and then also say, we're going to get you a second-rate roster. That just doesn't compute. I know what you think is going to happen. I also think this sport in the college landscape changes so quickly, so fluidly, that I do think they have to make a concerted effort. It wouldn't make sense otherwise to not make a concerted effort to give this guy the best resources possible. Otherwise, it turns into another year of disaster.
Well, Corey, wouldn't you argue, guys, that he's already been given more resources than anybody ever has here? I mean, what are we talking about?
For sure, but that doesn't mean now you pull back, because then it becomes even more of an abject failure.
But you're just allowing the same guy who's butchered this all along, despite unwavering financial support, to get the decision on more and more of these. I mean,
correct. And I'm not saying, look, we'll see what they mean with the overall, with the way they change the program and its actions. Who comes in as a GM? I think it might be the last days of Derek Ray and company. I think we can agree with that. Whoever they bring in
to bring that guy.
Right, sure. Whatever they end up doing, they are going to change the structure of what they're doing. But yeah, it's Mike Norvell's program. We're all in agreement that he doesn't deserve the right, in my opinion. Correct. Well, I think in all of our opinion, to be here in 2026. But the reality now is he is here in 2026. And it just wouldn't make sense at a place like Florida State to then hamstring him. So you're right, though, Jeff. Like, who is making the final call on these evaluations? Whose program is this? Because that's what concerns people. What concerns me, honestly, is moving forward real quick, because I know people think I'm a Norvell apologist, and I promise I'm not. Moving forward, what concerns me is they tried for the last 2 weeks to figure out what the road woes were and why they were so bad on the road. They made an active effort to figure out why they can't play on the road. And they responded with that with their worst road performance of the season. So clearly this guy can't identify what's wrong, and he can't identify how to fix it. But now he gets another year to try to figure it out. And that's a problem.
I want to read the part of this statement here from Norvell. We'll have everyone else's statement here, hopefully at some point on the screen. This program has been built on belief, sacrifice, and putting the team first. That set of values has always guided my actions and those of our players. The driving motivation behind this, which I wonder what this means, the driving motivation behind this is to make certain that we are doing everything properly to obtain and retain elite players, add critical pieces, and sustain long-term success. I love Florida State, and I'm fully committed to this program and our shared goals. Did he not have 3 weeks, a month before his last season ended, Jeff, to figure out the proper pieces that he wanted to obtain and retain? And this is where we're at.
He's had every imaginable resource. He has failed to identify and develop talent. This is an ongoing dilemma for the head coach. They don't recruit well enough. They don't develop well enough. They don't produce elite talent on a regular year in and year out basis.
But other than that, Jeff,
he doesn't recruit it out of the high school ranks. This is, I feel bad for the fan base. I feel very, very bad for Florida State fans everywhere. I feel bad that they are going to feel second rate. They are going to feel as if the administration is not hearing them, that the university is a joke or the program is a joke. That may be something you disagree with, Corey. That's how they feel. I think you'll see that resoundingly in the reaction to this announcement. It's to me, it speaks to the fact that they really didn't think that this was going to happen, and they did not have a backup plan. I know we all like to think that they had a backup plan. Come on now. They're out here 5-6. He loses every time they play on the road. Literally every time they play on the road, they make a mockery of the standard, and yet we're like, hey, listen, let's run it back, guys. Let's run it back. It's going to be okay. Come on, man.
I don't want to say it's a bad look because that's almost too dismissive. It makes Florida State fans question, what is their administration doing? How much do they care about winning? Or is it all about money? The response is yes, they do care about winning, but the money matters. And I think they might just come to the conclusion is like, what's out there that's better? Now, we know there's a ton of things that are better than this. There are a ton of coaches. There's nobody on this screen right now that would have been worse over the last 2 years than Mike Norvell was. But do you spend $50 or $58 million to bring in a head coach from the AAC or a coordinator that's not proven if there's nobody out there to go get? And they're not going to go get Lane Kiffin. I don't understand why James Franklin is not in Tallahassee right now. I don't understand why he was good enough for Virginia Tech, but Florida State said, no thanks. We like the direction of this program. But aside from that, I don't think they had I don't think there is a good backup plan out there. Like a surefire backup plan, I should say.
The answer to why James Franklin's at Virginia Tech and not Florida State is because James Franklin was able to help Penn State out by getting another job at a place like Virginia Tech, or he was going to be picked up by somebody. Nobody's picking Mike Norvell up. And every time you run him out there and we look like a bunch of ass clowns, he has less of a chance to get hired somewhere. So this is the situation you find yourself in. They're like, man, wish we could pawn him off on North Texas. Wish we could pawn him off on somebody else so we could mitigate this buyout, but nobody wants him.
You keep saying that, Jeff. Just think, like, if that ball deflects off Kirkland and that punter is on the other side, that's a brilliant play. That's a walk-in touchdown. You have it hit off your guy's helmet to go straight towards the end zone, man. Come on now. No, that's 4D chess right there.
Board of Trustees Chairman Peter Collins, in addition to addressing the reality that on-field results have been far from acceptable to the FSU standard, we also realize our responsibility as stewards of the program revenues and how to best allocate those dollars to compete at an elite level, something we will not compromise. Throughout the assessment, one goal will remain beyond all others: achieving sustained championship-level success. We will address performance deficiencies in the program. These deficiencies may include structural changes to the very large large and complex program FSU football has become, and these areas are where we will focus and invest. Again, Jeff, I beg of you, I ask you, was this not apparent last year after going 2-10 that you needed that either you have to spend at an Ohio State Vatican level of money to get enough players to win with this coaching staff, or you need to surround him with the incomplete apparatus that absolves him of almost any accountability into developing and fielding a football team to win with this guy. But
Correct.
Now it's apparent.
Well, it was apparent after 2-10, but the financial reality was the financial reality. So they removed more responsibility from Mike and dispersed it to others that they brought in the hopes that they could avoid this calamitous season. They did not avoid this calamitous season. They did not have another plan. So now they have to release statements that feel empty and vague. And this is something that you knew was coming when after the Stanford game, they did not make a change. And the more this went on, the more I began to realize, okay, it doesn't seem like, obviously, they want to make this change. But moreover, they didn't have a real plan, because if you knew financially you were handcuffed and you could not make the changes that you know are necessary, they all know it's necessary. You don't have to be a football expert to watch a guy lose 16 times the last 2 years to know that he's failing miserably at his job. But what ended up happening was they thought, okay, and this is why I know they didn't have another plan, is that at some point, and this is why I don't understand why it was allowed to go on. If you know that is your financial reality, then you must come out with an emboldened support of Mike Norvell immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately to salvage a recruiting class and the belief of those that are still entertaining the idea of coming to play football at Florida State. But you didn't do that because you weren't sure, because you didn't want him back, because he did keep failing, and you kept searching for the money, and you kept trying to get people to support a change that you know is necessary. But those pocketbooks are closed. Those people have given. They're not going to give anymore. But you didn't have another option because you didn't think you were going to be at this point.
Yeah, and
no,
I think
they didn't spend. Sorry, Corey. They didn't spend all this money, bring all these people in to think that they were going to end up 5-6. That was a solution to get back to 9 wins, compete for an ACC championship. It did not work. Plan C, Plan D now with this guy. Sorry, Corey.
Yeah, I was going to say. So what Jeff's saying, and I completely agree with. Like if this was if this was going to be the plan all along, then do it after Stanford. Come out in full support of him after Stanford. None of us would have liked it, but that was a month ago. What they did was they said they were going to reassess the football program, not reassess, a comprehensive assessment of the football program at the end of the season. Okay, well, since that statement, he's gone 2-2 with 2 ugly road losses because that's what he does. So what did you see in the last month that made you realize this was the guy to keep? That's the point. Like, they should have come out and done this. They should have either said nothing after Stanford or said this after Stanford.
Yeah.
Either way, like coming out and saying we're going to reassess, and then there's nothing to reassess. It's the same crap. It's the same crap we've seen, but now you've emboldened him to stay. Makes it look like maybe, whether it's true or not, it makes it look like you didn't have a plan and you weren't sure what you were going to be doing, and you did not have confidence in this guy. But other elements or other aspects, other paths you could have gone down, went to the wayside, and you're stuck with them.
Jeff, if I could cut. Sorry, Jeff, before I let you go on that, we got some reporting. Subscribe to warchant.com, everybody. I know we know who the coach is going to be, so you're like, we don't need to know any more news. But apparently there's going to be a lot of changes here. Reporting over on the Tribal Council from our managing editor, Irish O'Fell, and him talking with a source with knowledge of the decision. This is not going to be a matter of making 1 or 2 new hires or replacing a couple of staff members. They are looking at fundamental changes of the entire program to meet the challenges of this new world, the portal, NIL, rev share. And I get the sense that it will be better to do that without paying $100 million and then starting over in one fell swoop. We can debate the decision, but it sounds like the entire program could be overhauled. But the head coach remains, though. The linchpin remains, Jeff.
Well, I mean, that's the problem, right? Like, it's like you feel like you're trying to – you guys keep using the word prop, but it's like you're pushing him up because you don't want to fire him because of the money, and you're going to surround him with so much that it's like it won't even be his fault if they win or lose on Saturday anymore.
Yeah, the guy who is the leader of your program is being stripped of every difference-making decision that a leader has to make. They're not going to allow him to touch it.
Hey, uniforms, though. He'll still pick out the uniform combinations. We'll let you do
on
that.
On game days, he should sit in the stands and cheer.
But He should be on a band platform.
He should
Like
sit
he
in the
should
stands
stand over the
next to
sideline.
the hard-working season ticket holders that have seen these things ratcheted. He should stand there and wave a pom-pom. Let's go.
It would be cool if he was in a loge box with the headset and he could tell all the big money booster what play
Hey,
is
here's
coming.
what we're doing. Here's what we're going to do next.
Think about that access. People would pay for that. That's
He
how you
could
make
cheers
money.
beers. He could buy food for people.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, it's going to be very this next 6 weeks. It was going to be fascinating either way. But yes, it's apparent they do not want to fire this guy because of the financial liability it would be, the financial hit they would take. And it's almost like they've got too much money in it now to fail. And they're doing everything in their power to make sure it doesn't fail. The problem is if and when they go 6-6 next year or 7-5 next year and they have punts hitting off heads and delay of games before the first play of a drive, you're going to have to make this decision again next year, and you've just wasted a year to try to get back to where you want to be. If you don't think this guy can get it done, I think all three of us don't think this guy can get it done, but maybe they put this unbelievable program in place where he has no choice but to succeed. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yeah, it's going to suck for him because if he gets it done, not a single person will give him the credit for it, nor should they.
Yeah. Let me ask you that then, Jeff, as we kind of wind things down here. Again, if you get the thumbs up,
hey, I'm going to go ahead and start. Stephanie's going to go ahead and start driving. We're at this crazy BP gas station on the side of 75, and she is staring daggers at me. So if you hear the car start, we're on the move.
By hitting the thumbs up, you're not signifying that you agree with the news or you like the news, but it just sends a video out there. So hit the thumbs up if you could, everybody. Let's imagine it then, I guess, Jeff. Let's think about these overhaul changes. Let's try to go out on a high note, I guess. Does a 2023 world still exist for Mike Norvell? Can there be space where Florida State can seemingly be able to pick all the top guys out of the portal, get them here immediately while everybody else is kind of left in the dark? I mean, it feels like that is so yesteryear to where we are now, but this whole overhaul thing, how good can it look in year one? Do we look at Norman, Oklahoma and think that that's kind of the best case for Florida State? New coordinator, new quarterback, somebody with NFL chops to help coordinate and assess your roster. And then you don't have a guy like Brent Venables to take care of one side of the football, but you have to figure it out with this Norvell care.
If I'm not mistaken, they just brought in a new coordinator and a new quarterback at Florida State. They just did it. Yeah. And we saw the results. Listen, again, I think that this was about the money. This is about the money. I agree that there could be multiple things true at the same time. I mean, yeah, they did need to look at the overall assessment of how Florida State football is run. I thought that's what they were trying to do at the end of last year, as we've repeatedly noted. I guess now there's going to be a financial aspect to this and a structural aspect to this that changes. But I think as long as your leader is Mike Norvell right now, it is going to be hard to be taken seriously with the numbers that he's produced these last couple of years. I like Mike Norvell, the person. I think sincerely he wants to win desperately. I think he's bitterly disappointed. I actually feel terrible for him every time I see him in the press conference because he knows that he has not met the standard. He said as much. I think he was asked post-game, Corey, whether or not he had met the standard, and he said, hell no, quote unquote. Well, he knows he has failed. He has failed. Now, at this point, of course, he's going to say, hey, the administration and I believe the same things. We're all on the same page. What the hell else is he going to say? That's what the administration is going to say repeatedly. But the fans know what's up here. This was all financially driven. It speaks to a lack of leadership. There is immense frustration today for Florida State fans everywhere. I love Florida State. Everybody that's in this chat and paying attention to this video loves Florida State. We all love Florida State, but they have failed in this situation. And Mike Norvell is the reason that they have failed. And they are in a position now where they have to let it ride, unfortunately, and that is going to create for one hell of an offseason. It does not mean that there won't be interesting developments, that's for sure. If you're going to change the way the entirety of this athletic department or at least football program operates, hell, I'm going to pay attention and talk about that, and we're going to report on that. But, man, I can't ask the fans to accept this, embrace this, and celebrate this. Not with what they've seen over the last 2 years with the leaderless and the rudderless efforts of this group. It's tough to watch.
Let's see if Corey's still
I will say this.
legible on the road.
Yeah, y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah,
y'all hear me?
roll with it. Keep going. Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, going 78 on 75. I will say this: it's going to be imperative, maybe people roll their eyes and they don't care anyway. You better, when that portal season opens up, number one, you better have a top 15 recruiting class, which they're at least on par. They're going in that direction. But when that portal hits up,
oh, he was just about to go on a yarn for us there, Jeff. Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't think top 15 high school recruiting class is good enough, man. They need to have a top 5 for 2-3 years on top of a great portal class. But I'll leave you with any final words you might have. I don't want to take all the steam, all the air out of your sails. You got to do a radio show for all of us tomorrow, 1 to 4 o'clock with Tom Lang. But we got a lot of people in the comments here. Oh, Corey is back. Corey, you want to try that one more time?
Can you hear me now?
You can. You're on.
Yeah,
you're on
sorry.
the
I was going to
clock
say real quick. They've got to hit some big names out of the portal. Get some interest back in this program. Try to prove that your fan base that you care about winning. And if that means overpaying for a really good quarterback, go do it. You need some good news and you need some positivity to offset what is completely negative, a horrible last 2 years, the negative end of this season. Go prove to this fan base that you actually care about winning and get them some really good players, some players they've heard of, some big-time talent, and see if it makes a little bit of a dent of a difference. And please, please, please go get a quarterback. Go get a quarterback. Please.
Shout out to Ecuador.
That's all I had to say, everyone.
Jeffrey Hill, CC Black, Southern DC, Ian McGregor, rather, Jimmy Slope in the chat, Hayden Guy, Kyle, Florida Man in Alabama, Willie's RPG, D Tally 293, Noel Guy. I mean, all these people were shout out to Nick and Tom behind the scenes popping their names on the screen. I'll give you a final word, Jeff Cameron, on the way.
I just think it's going to be really hard to attract whatever it is you're trying to attract. And that's star players, star coaches, people behind the scenes. With the amount of instability and seemingly misguided efforts that we've watched over the last 2 years, it's going to be very difficult, I think, to get people to trust that they can commit their next 4 years, next 3 years to play for this program or to come coach for this program. Who are you bringing in to help out with the coaching staff? Surely you're going to have to get rid of some guys here. And the behind-the-scenes stuff, I have a hard time believing there's somebody out there going, yeah, I want to go work there. Things are looking good in Tallahassee. A lot of stability. Can't wait to get there. Now, I know you can say money offsets that.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
we'll
see,
I mean, it does. Who wants to go work at Auburn or
there's
LSU?
A lot of money.
Like, there's no stability anywhere, and players will come play at a place like Florida State if they're paid. We're not talking about Rice or UTEP. They will come play here. I promise. Now, you might say they might want to play for this guy. Sure, I guess.
I think I could certainly
enough
argue
money,
that.
you could go get a guy.
Well, they're not about to invest Texas Tech-like money, especially if they don't believe that's the way NIL should work. So we're going to have to see a change in mindset, a change in belief in the way big-time college football is played and funded. We're going to have to see I have a hard time believing that this is going to be stabilized in the offseason after what we've just witnessed.
But my point is I don't think anything is stabilized. I don't think any program is stabilized other than the ones in Athens and Ohio State. Like, coaches aren't going to go to a stable destination. You would have thought Brian Kelly in Baton Rouge was as stable as you could get. He was fired 20 games over 500. There is no stability anymore. They'll come to where they're paid, and Florida State is not destined to be horrible. Maybe with this coach and next year you could argue that, but I don't think they'll have a hard time attracting good enough players. Let's just try to think of a world where Florida State could attract good enough players to get to Charlotte. I'm not talking about a national championship, Jeff. I think they can get good enough players to be as good as Virginia this past year. I think they can.
They just had a season an off season.
I know, buddy. I watched it. I was at every game except Stanford, thank God. They suck. They're not good enough. But that doesn't mean that 2026 is going to be completely devoid of talent or hope, because Virginia had no talent or hope, and now all they have to do is beat Virginia Tech, and they're in Charlotte.
We need a more long-form conversation about this, Corey, because not all of the situations that you're citing are comparable to Florida State's with this administration and this coach. I understand what you're saying, that you can pay and get good players in here. I don't know that this guy knows what good players looks like, first of all. Second, he's the one who chose Tommy and chose Gus and chose all of this.
He knows what it looks like, Jeff. He knows what it looks like. He knows what it looks like. He knows what it
That's
looks like.
perfectly fair. That's perfectly fair. But you bring in a good GM, you might take it out of Mike's hands. Let him go golf.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna
Sit
have
in
a
the stand, serve beer, and go like this.
The whole time. Well, don't forget this. I will say this. I hope one of the edicts for him coming back this year is getting rid of this nonsense. I've hated it since day one. I hated it in 2023. It is nonsense to have a head coach doing cash downs on the sideline. This is your cash year, Mike. This is your cash year. Please stop.
I believe while we're making suggestions, if the administration's watching and or if Mike is watching, can we stop with the climbing? They did it again with the last tweet, like keep climbing. No.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. Yeah. I can climb no more.
You can climb no more.
Well,
Agreed.
We're going to get off
like
the mat and keep doing.
They've turned us all into Sherpas.
I cannot climb any longer. This mountain is twice the size of Everest.
It's unbelievable.
Corey, are you on your way to Tallahassee for the coordinator interviews?
I am. I guess we're going to get them again. I guess we'll get them tonight. Yeah, I'll be there.
All right, I'll see you there. We'll speak to Tony White and Gus Malzahn this evening to get their thoughts on the NC State game and maybe the future of Florida State sports. Warchant.com. Plenty more reaction. Get involved in the mix. It's only $1 for a week. Just you want to hop on the Tribal Council right now and get involved in the conversation. It's $1 for a week. You get a year subscription to The Athletic as well. Thanks to Tom and Nick helping out back there and everybody with the super chats. We do appreciate that. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. For Jeff and Corey Mazon, thanks again. We join you with this emergency news. Florida State will retain Mike Norvell for the 2026 season. Stay connected to warchant.com for what that means Jeff, now and moving forward.
Do it, Jeff.